Lu Sheng arrived at training room 8, where he found himself greeted by a spacious, empty room. The walls on all 5 sides were filled with fist-sized holes, reminding him of a similar training room he had encountered at the Prodigy training camp. Without overthinking, he briefly surveyed the room and then stepped inside to locate a device on the wall, which appeared to be the control switch for the training room. After a quick adjustment, the machine voice echoed, announcing the start of the first stage of melee weapon training and prompting him to prepare. Taking a deep breath, Lu Sheng readied himself by opening his weapon bag and swiftly assembled his long spear. The moment he gripped his spear, the aura around him transformed dramatically. Standing tall and firm, he wielded the long and sharp spear with confidence, the tip of the spear reflecting light onto the floor. A fiery energy seemed to ignite within him, resembling a brave warrior from ancient battlefields. Suddenly, the fist-sized holes on the walls emitted a noise as if something was coming out of them, and Lu Sheng didn't have to wait for too long to witness iron beads shot out from all sides with unimaginable speed. Unfazed, Lu Sheng focused on the iron beads. He utilized wind-breathing techniques, using his psychic power to track the beads, and brandishing his spear, Lu Sheng's speed became exceptionally swift. Compared to Lu Sheng's movement, the fast-approaching beads appeared to move in slow motion. With a sweep of his spear, the surrounding iron beads were split in half mid-air, eventually all falling to the ground. Lu Sheng was slightly surprised by how easy stage 1 was. However, the training room then announced the end of the training, leaving him slightly bewildered. The system's voice followed, declaring Lu Sheng with a completion rate of only 20% for the first stage. Puzzled, Lu Sheng looked at the large projection above him, wondering what caused him to fail. Perhaps he made a mistake somewhere. The projection quickly answered his concern. As it turned out, the use of any force beyond his physical strength, including internal energy, psychic power, or other martial arts, was prohibited. Took a moment to read the instructions, Lu Sheng nodded to himself. He then quickly realized the purpose behind the training. It was to refine melee combat solely relying on one's physical body. If internal energy and other martial arts or talents were allowed, the training would lose all its meaning, as it would be too easy to sweep away and destroy the beads with melee weapons aided by these factors. This training room was designed to hone melee combat technique through physical prowess alone. Having this in mind, Lu Sheng attempted for the second time. Returning to the control panel, he reset the first stage of training. Just like before, a flurry of iron beads shot out from the wall. This time, he assumed his stance, relying solely on his physical strength to maneuver the spear. With his near grandmaster strength, shattering these iron beads was a trivial task. Almost as if his spear was dancing in the air, leaving countless trails as Lu Sheng used only his body's strength to wield it. The iron beads were crushed into iron dust and scattered onto the floor. In real time, it all seemed to happen in an instant, and the first stage ended quickly. Wiping sweat from his face, Lu Sheng, who rarely relied solely on physical strength, was surprised at how much this had caused him to sweat. Realizing the first stage was over with no more beads shooting out from the walls, he knew he had successfully passed the first stage. As soon as the previous stage ended, a plethora of beads once again shot out from the holes in the walls. Lu Sheng initially thought this round would be similar to the last, but he was in for a surprise. This time, the beads were much lighter and seemingly made out of wood. Unlike the previous iron beads, which were easier to target, these wooden beads were deflected by the air pressure generated by his swings, altering each and every trajectory. A sudden insight struck Lu Sheng, and he suddenly understood something. The purpose of the melee weapon training room was not just about the technique and power, but also about precision and mastery of the weapon. The switch from iron to wooden beads seemed to reduce the difficulty, as they appeared less harmful and slower. But in reality, it was quite the opposite. In this stage of the training, it required the practitioner to strike all of the beads with their melee weapon, before it fell to the ground to pass. The lighter the beads, the more challenging this became. The air movement caused by swinging the weapon could easily blow the remaining wooden beads off trajectory, making their movement unpredictable and significantly increasing the difficulty. This reminded Lu Sheng of scenes from novels and movies he had seen before, where skilled martial artists could pluck flowers with